Hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink with some very easy Christmas-themed cards that incorporate the new Villainous Potion distress color because I'm kind of obsessed with this shade of purple right now. So to start off with, I'm using Honeybee Stamp's Falling Snow background stamp. This is a clear stamp. So I've got it lined up in my MISTI stamping tool, and I have some smooth white cardstock that I am treating with my anti-static powder tool. And I'm going to ink up this background with clear embossing ink. And I'm going to stamp it a couple times because it's a large background stamp. There's lots of detail, but also I'm not super concerned with, perfection. I've been saying that a lot in my videos lately. Perfection is very overrated. And especially with backgrounds and snowfall and all those things, it doesn't need to be perfect. It really doesn't. So, stamped it twice though to get, some good coverage. And then I am going to coat this with Hero Art's White Satin Pearl embossing powder. It is really hard to show, like in video, in photos, etc. It has just that light pearl sheen to it. But you could totally use clear embossing powder, white embossing powder. That would work as well. I like pulling out the white satin pearl when I'm doing holiday cards because, again, it's that subtle thing. With certain backgrounds and on certain cardstocks, it shows up a lot more. With me using it like as ink resist, like I said, you're not really going to see it very much, but it's there. It's there. It's the thought that counts. So anywho, I did this twice because while I've got all my supplies out, why not make more than one card? So I have my backgrounds heat embossed, and then I'm going to use 3 different colors of Distress Oxide ink for my background. One being the Villainous Potion, that deep, deep purple. And I'm combining that with Salvaged Patina, another favorite, and Chipped Sapphire. They're all favorites. I say this all the time. Love it. Love all the colors, just depending on what I'm doing and what I need. So for these backgrounds, Salvaged Patina, Chipped Sapphire, and then the Villainous Potion. And I'm not too worried, with the Villainous Potion, it's not a perfect blend at the very bottom. That's going to get covered up by my little snowbanks, so I'm not too concerned about it. But I just blend the colors into each other. And because these are oxide inks, they definitely sit right on top of that embossing. You just take a cloth. I just use one of my microfiber cloths. Any cloth will do. And you just wipe off all that ink that's sitting on top. And that exposes the embossing powder. Hence why you could use clear or white. That would work great as well. So I did my blending, just quick and simple. Nothing too fancy. And went back and forth between the colors just to kind of even out the blend a little bit. And then rubbed this background really, really well, especially with that purple. That purple is such an intense color. So my backgrounds are done. And then I'm using the new Pine Trees Honey Cuts. And I die cut these multiple times from the same smooth white cardstock. And onto these, I am blending Evergreen Bough. And I'm also going to blend Rustic Wilderness, which Rustic Wilderness I've been obsessed with since that one was released. It just goes with everything. So very simple blending though, because especially if I was going to do a ton of these, I wouldn't want to be, making them too finicky. But at the same time, there's something, I've said this before, with die cutting and ink blending, I don't know, I find it therapeutic. So I did very simple blending, just kind of kept kind of going lighter to darker in a sense, but also not worrying about it too much because, I just wanted these to be green is what I'm going for. So blended all of that onto these trees. Trust me, I did think about splatter. I really did. I was like, ooh, I could splatter these trees. You could step it up a bit and add splatter. I shockingly didn't this time. But that usually means the next card I make, I end up adding 10 times more splatter to make up for it. So I just did the blending though. And then to create my little snowbanks, I actually used the Horizon Slimline Borders honey cuts dies, which I reach for quite often regardless. They'll fit a slimline sized card, but they're also great for things like this. So I use that and just die cut some pieces of white cardstock to create some little snowbanks. And then I had trimmed down those panels. They were originally A2 sized, and then I trimmed them down to about 4 inches by 5 1/4, just slightly smaller than the A2 size card. So then I trimmed down the snowbanks as well, so that they'll fit on the panel. And then my main sentiment is the new Peace Honeycuts wafer die. I use just the word. There's also the outline and then like the pierced outline as well. But I wanted just the word for these. And I die cut it a couple times from white cardstock. And then the top layer I die cut from some holographic cardstock, because hollow, just like splatter and bling and all the fun things, is life. And it just kind of reflects all the colors. Again, it's perfect for holiday cards. So I stacked those layers together with my precision glue. And then once those were stacked together, I decided to use one of the little companion sentiments from the Peace stamp set that matches the wafer die. And rather than, my go-to is to like heat emboss it, trim it out, everything, I decided to just stamp it directly onto this little, like the little snowbank that's going to be like the front of the card. So I lined that up in my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp that, or like ink it up and stamp it with the Villainous Potion Distress Oxide ink. So again, just pulling in that bit of purple. So inked that up, stamped it. With this one, I'm going to stamp it a couple times, because with brand new stamps, and especially sentiments, they like to resist the ink a little bit. So stamp that onto both of my little short snowbanks. And then once I've got that, I have basically all the elements for my card front. So now it's just a matter of kind of assembling everything. So I'm just going to start adhering my trees and my little snowbanks. I realized this one panel was just a sliver too wide, so I trimmed off that sliver with my guillotine trimmer. And then again, so it's like tree, big snowbank, next tree, the other little tree, and then the final little snowbank here, and then popping on that large die cut sentiment. And again, if you wanted to step this up, you could pop all these layers on with like foam tape and build like a ton of dimension. That would look amazing as well. I'm just giving the ideas here as they're like popping in my head. It's like, ooh, I could have done that. But a lot of times I like to keep things a little flatter, but again, it depends on my mood. If you want to pop it up though and like create all that dimension, and it would look amazing, is put some layers of foam tape behind everything and like stagger it all, and it would look fabulous. So anywho, did all of that to my card fronts. For my card base on the inside, I have one remaining die cut tree that I'm going to add, and then I'm going to use the Inside Holiday Sentiments stamp set because it's perfect. So I inked up one of the sentiments with that Villainous Potion Oxide ink. Stamped that onto the inside of both my card bases. And then I lined up the little Season's Greetings stamp from that same Inside Holiday Sentiments set. I'm going to line that up right above it, and that I'm going to ink up with the Salvaged Patina Oxide ink, which on camera, because it's such a fine lined sentiment, doesn't seem to show up very well, but in real life it is very legible. It's very readable. So stamp that onto the inside of both cards. Once that's stamped, I can then adhere those little die cut trees that I had set aside for the inside, just to give it that little extra something. Although you could totally leave that off as well. I think the sentiments, especially stamped in 2 different colors, just kind of finish it off. But I had the trees, so why not? So adhered those to the inside. I'm going to trim off the little bit that's hanging off the bottom. Once that's trimmed off, I can then adhere my card fronts to these card bases. And again, I just adhered them flat. You could pop them up with dimension, all the fun things, But I just adhered these flat to the card bases. And then I am going to add just a little bit of bling, because, I may not have added splatter and 20 layers of foam tape. So instead, I'm just going to add just a little bit of bling. I thought the trees would look cute with it. So I just have some iridescent crystals. And I was a little heavier handed with these because it was kind of like decorating the trees in a sense. I put a few on the card base, So just adhered all those into place with that precision glue. And then once that glue dries, and it dries clear, you're not going to see the glue, and it'll just be these pretty little, crystals all over these cards. So after that was adhered, let the glue dry, and these cards are complete. So as always, I will have a link below the video to my blog post. I will have a supply list, link to all the supplies I used, so you can check that out below if you are interested. Thank you all so much for watching, for thumbs upping, for subscribing, commenting, all of it. I very much appreciate the support, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye!